I've had a conversation with a few folks lately about renting or increasing rents. And I think that's such an interesting topic as far as folks having hesitancy to go to their current tenants or go to their new tenants and increase their rents to keep up with the neighborhood. What advice do you have for folks, or talking points do you have for people who are hesitant about increasing their rents to keep up?
Um, well, to be very frank here, it's a business. You need to run it like a business. And it's actually really interesting. When we do these portfolio reviews, the number one advice we have is that you're way under market rent. You need to increase your rents. And so that is the number one, I'm using air quotes here, the number one issue I see with landlords right now is that their rents are not at market. And it's very hard to keep them at market. We've been seeing 10% rent increase every single year. So what I would tell people is, if you want to do charity work, don't do it for your rentals. Hey, make your money and go donate money to your charity of choice and make sure you get to help society the way you want to. Now comes your rental portfolio, and you look at the individual tenant or property, you have to use some nuance here. Because if you can increase the rents from $800 to $1,200 on your unit, you should from a pure mathematical standpoint. Now, if that rent increase is going to make your solid long-term tenant leave the property, it may not be worth it, because if they leave, you're going to have a month or two of vacancy and probably at least a few $1,000s in turn cost. So if you have a tenant that you don't care for, or a tenant that doesn't, that you're like, hey, they're not taking care of the property, hey, raise the rent and get a better tenant in there. But if it's a good tenant, a good long-term tenant, low headache, low maintenance, I would say, hey, let's keep the tenant in there. But go out there and have that conversation with them. Just say, hey, Austin, you've seen the market, this place should rent for $1,200 a month. We're at 800. I have to raise it some, but I want to keep you here. And so I'm hoping we can do a win-win. What if I raise it to $1,000 a month? And that way you're still not having to have the expense of moving. You still get to have this great place, and you're still saving money out there for the market. So that's how you have to look at it. If it's a great tenant, hey, there are costs to actually having a tenant turnover. And that vacancy and turnover is usually the highest cost of the year. So if it's a solid long-term tenant in there, hey, I'm always a big fan of keeping that tenant in there, but you have to raise the rents some, but find that happy balance so it's a true win-win. And I think, when people have that conversation outlook, it's a very good outcome. And the last thing I'll say on there is I see a lot of landlords that they have this like adversarial relationship with their tenant, where like, hey, if I run a store and a client walks in, I'm going to treat that client very well. But if you have a tenant in there and you're $500,000 asset, which is probably the most expensive asset you have someone else living in, take care of that person, make him or her, that family happy, like give them that customer service. And so I think there's a big bonus there. It's like, if you treat that person the way you want to be treated, you can make their life better, and you can make your rental property better for them, and also have a very good investment. So yes, raise your rents. If you need help figuring it out, Zillow.com is the best place in the world for looking at rent comps. It's free. They actually have the best data in the world for rentals and property management that's publicly available. It's absolutely free. Their price valuations are still pretty wonky, but the rent estimates are really, really good, and they're free. So use that as a comp, or talk to your property manager, or you can go like Rentometer and spend $100 a year for a subscription. But Zillow.com is the place to go for checking out rents.